Chapter 537. We have nothing. Did you foresee the crisis of the Sword Saint? Yuan Gang, who was slightly drunk, frowned slightly upon hearing this. Lin Chia nodded. We want to know how to walk freely in the mist. Nonsense. Yuan Gang slammed the table. You're not even a special team and you're thinking of going into the mist to save people? Are you looking to throw your lives away? We are indeed not a special team. Lin Chia said calmly. But if we turn a blind eye to our teacher's life just because we're afraid of dying, what's the point of being a special team? Instructor Yuan, you also said that once mental strength reaches a certain level, the state of mind becomes the crucial factor for breaking through. If we do nothing by the time we reach that level, we won't be able to advance any further. Yuan Gang stared into his eyes. Reaching that level? Do you know how high that level is? In the past 100 years of the Great Xia, only a few people have touched that threshold. For that elusive possibility, are you really willing to gamble your lives now? Absolutely. Lin Chia's gaze showed no sign of retreat. After a long stare between the two, Lin Chia suddenly smiled. Instructor Yuan, perhaps you don't know much about our team, so let me reintroduce us. Lin Chia extended his hand, pointing to each member in order. Bailey Pang Pang, the designated heir of the Bailey Group, a discarded child of the Bailey family, died at the hands of his most trusted person, then was reborn. Chao Yuan, who lost control in the Forbidden Ruins as a child, slaughtered his entire family, raised as a disaster, has been to prison, was a monk and is now all alone. Jialon, the immortal woman, dug out from a coffin. All her relatives, friends and past have been buried in the river of time. And Qingyu, who experienced the great calamity of Tsangnan, was hunted by the night watchman, spent a year dissecting the mysterious in the sewers, and has lived with corpses for years. Shin Qingzhu, a former member of Team 006, was an undercover agent for the Believers for 2 years, endured hardships, single-handedly destroyed the Believers, and now returns to the Night Watchman. Jiang Air, a former member of Team 008, witnessed the destruction of Team 008, and can only survive in this world relying on the magnetic field generated by his brain. He pointed to himself. Lin Chia, a former member of Team 136 in Songnan City, my hometown relatives and friends were all wiped out by the Shiva's curse, lived for 10 years in a miracle and then everything vanished into thin air. Tell me, Instructor Yuan, what do you hear? Yuan Gang fell silent. We are all people who have experienced despair in this world. We have walked out from mountains of corpses and seas of blood. We are all alone, we have no attachments. Aside from each other we have nothing. Whether we become a special team, whether we have achievements, whether we have numbers, it doesn't really matter to us. But if anyone dares to lay a hand on any one of us, they better be prepared to fight for their lives. The Sword Saint is not only the Sword Saint of the Great Xia but also our teacher, our senior, our friend. We will not stand by and watch him die. Whether we can walk out of the mist, whether we can catch up to him, whether we can help him in any way, at the very least we have to try. I have regretted once. This time I will not let regret happen again. The other team members nodded in unison, their eyes filled with determination. Lin Chia was right. Whether they succeeded or failed, they had to try. They could not just sit and wait for the Sword Saint to die. Yuan Gang's gaze swept over them and his serious, rigid face showed a hint of emotion. He did not expect that Lin Chia and the others would be willing to gamble their futures and lives to venture outside the mist for the Sword Saint. This courage and determination forced Yuan Gang to re-evaluate these young people. He sighed, even if you say that, some things just can't be done. The last team that could walk freely in the mist was the Blue Rain, but they have long been destroyed, and the forbidden items that protected them in the mist have been reclaimed by the higher-ups. Unless you can directly convince Commander Yi, it's impossible for you to enter the mist. Upon hearing this, the light in Lin Chia and the others' eyes gradually dimmed. Yifan would never give them those things. Could it be that there really was no way? Seeing the group's spirits so low, Yuan Gang shook his head helplessly. You have this heart which is already commendable. As you said, you've already tried, haven't you? What you need to do next is to not think about anything, go back and get a good night's sleep and come back tomorrow morning to compete against our team. If you win, you will officially become the 5th special team. Since you are all my students, I'll give you a little hint about tomorrow's competition. Yuan Gang saw that the group was still enthusiastic, his mouth twitched slightly, but since he had already said this much, he could only continue. Tomorrow's competition is a flag-snatching battle, held in a large trial ground in the suburbs of Shangjing City. Once the pieces are placed in the designated locations, scoring will automatically begin. If the flags are pulled down by the opposing force, the scoring will stop. There are a total of 6 flag placing points on the field, and the team that first fills their score by placing flags will win. But I must remind you that due to the vastness of the venue, the flag-snatching battle will take a long time and will be very exhausting. This is a test of strength, intelligence, and endurance with a duration of 48 hours. During this time, members of both teams are allowed to attack each other, and any means can be used as long as it does not endanger life. In the bustling food street, Yuan Gang patiently explained the rules of tomorrow's competition to Lin Chia and the others, while they merely lowered their heads, lost in thought. Shangjing City, Team 006's base. Captain's office. Xiaopinga, lying on a recliner, slowly sat up, yawned and muttered. That old Yuan says he won't give them any leeway, yet he's secretly giving them hints. Caught him red-handed again, huh? He rubbed his temples, stood up and walked to the desk piled high with documents, casually flipping through a few. His position among the night watchmen was not only as the captain of the Shangjing City team but also as the head of the night watchmen's human resources department, overseeing the personnel allocation of all night watchman teams stationed in the Great Xia, making him one of the higher-ups. He casually signed a few documents, tossed the pen aside and looked out at the night sky. After a long sigh he said, "These little guys are quite interesting." After drinking with Yuan Gang, Lin Chia and the others returned to the hotel and went to their respective rooms to rest. Even though Yuan Gang repeatedly tried to persuade them during the drinking session, how much they actually absorbed was known only to them. After taking a shower, Lin Chia turned off all the lights, lay on the bed and stared blankly at the letter and chopsticks on the bedside. That night Lin Chia couldn't sleep at all. The next morning, Lin Chia got up from bed, washed up, and then boarded the vehicle heading to the Shangjing City team's base with the others. Although Yuan Gang had secretly informed them of the competition method and location yesterday, they still needed to visit Team 006's base, partly out of courtesy and partly for fairness, as both teams had to travel together to the competition venue. The night watchman team in Shangjing City had much stricter rules and regulations compared to other teams. The morning traffic in Shangjing City was extremely congested, and since the hotel where Lin Chia and the others were staying was quite far from the base, it would take a long time to get there. Fortunately, Qingyu had anticipated this situation and set off half an hour early. In the calm and quiet vehicle, Lin Chia slowly closed his eyes. The Asylum of the Gods. Good morning, esteemed director. In the yard, Heitong, dressed in caregiver attire, wearing a coat and a top hat, was diligently sweeping the ground. Upon seeing Lin Chia, he respectfully bowed. Lin Chia looked at him and nodded. It seemed that Heitong was getting along well with the other caregivers in the hospital, at least from the outside. Lin Chia took a couple of steps forward as if remembering something, then stepped back. Heitong, can you see anything about my belongings that can predict the future? Heitong was taken aback and smiled helplessly. Director, have you forgotten? I can only foresee the future of objects. Your presence in the hospital is not even a physical entity, and these things on you do not belong to the material realm, so I cannot see your future. Unless you let me out, I can help you foresee the future of objects. Lin Chia sighed. Forget it, you can continue your work. Heitong's current realm was limitless, and he could not summon it into the real world. To use his foresight, Lin Chia would have to break through to limitless himself. Dana Ducey, are you staying for lunch today? Lin Chia took a few steps when Nikes approached with a smile from the opposite side and asked. Lin Chia smiled wryly. Mother, unfortunately I have a competition today. Oh, that's truly unfortunate news. A trace of barely perceptible disappointment flashed in Nike's eyes before quickly disappearing. She smiled at Lin Chia and continued walking into the yard. Lin Chia took another bottle of rice wine from the kitchen, 2 wine bowls, hesitated for a moment, then put them back. He walked to the door of room 4 on the second floor, gently knocked twice and pushed the door open. As usual, Lin Chia sat down in front of the ancient ape, who showed no reaction to his arrival. Lin Chia stared at the ancient ape for a long time before slowly speaking. Brother Monkey, today I might not have time to tell you a story. I'll say a few words and then I'll have to go. The ancient ape sat cross-legged, hands together, eyes lowered, motionless. Lin Chia was not surprised by this. After a moment of silence he said, "Brother Monkey, have you ever experienced the feeling of an important person about to die before your eyes, yet you are powerless to help?" The moment the words fell, the Buddhist light surrounding the ancient ape trembled, as if a stone had dropped into a silent pond, creating ripples. Lin Chia froze in place. In that brief moment he felt a fierce aura rush toward him. Although it was only for an instant, the resentment and overwhelming killing intent contained within made his body tremble uncontrollably. But then that aura completely vanished. Lin Chia stared in shock at the motionless ancient ape, the gentle and sacred Buddhist light enveloping his body, as if everything that had just happened was merely an illusion. Lin Chia shook his head and continued speaking to himself. "I have had this experience. I watched him die in my arms, his breath fading little by little, his body growing cold, rainwater mixing with his blood and tears flowing into the soil. Until the last moment he was still smiling and asking me if he was handsome. You say, isn't he strange?" The Buddhist light surrounding the ancient ape stirred violently again. The body beneath the kasaya began to tremble slightly, and the ancient ape's eyes, hidden beneath the lowered eyelids, slightly contracted as if recalling something. Although I didn't have much contact with him, I could feel that he was usually a very unreliable person, liked to smoke, liked to show off, and despite being weak, still liked to act like a hero. But when he was reliable, he was truly handsome. The Buddhist light surrounding the ancient ape grew increasingly brilliant, as if he was desperately suppressing something. The edges of his kasaya fluttered gently, and the backs of his clasped hands burst with veins. His brows furrowed tightly. Back then I was too weak to save him. That guilt, sadness and anger I can still feel clearly now. I thought 2 years had passed and I had grown, that I could stand on my own and have the strength to protect those I cherish. But why? Does it seem like nothing has changed? I am still so weak, unable to save those I cherish, and this time I can't even see his face. Old Zhao Auntie and now the Sword Saint. Am I destined to watch the people I cherish leave me one after another? Is this truly fate? Boom, dash. A powerful pressure erupted from the ancient ape, and Lin Chia, sitting opposite him, was instantly thrown back, staggering several steps before barely stabilizing himself. The furious wind, carrying shattered Buddhist light, swept through the entire ward, surging out, causing the entire hospital to tremble slightly. What's going on? Li Yifei rushed out of his room in panic. It's that crazy monkey in room 4. Nikes frowned. 2 figures, one black and one blue, quickly soared into the air, rushing toward the second floor, followed closely by a figure holding a harp. Just as they were about to burst into the room, Lin Chia reached out to stop them. "Don't." Lin Chia stared at that figure, shaking his head at them. In the midst of the raging wind, the ancient ape's kasaya fluttered without wind, making a rustling sound, and dark golden light burst from his eyes, like 2 blazing flames burning fiercely in their sockets. He released his clasped hands and tightly clenched them. Cracks exploded on the kasaya covering his body. Amidst the swaying Buddhist light, the figure draped in the tattered kasaya stood up, dark golden fur radiating a faint glow, stepping forward, slowly approaching Lin Chia. Those brilliant eyes were fixed intently on Lin Chia. He opened his mouth and hoarsely said, "To hell with fate." Chapter 538, To Hell with Destiny. After finishing drinks with Yuan Gang, Lin Chia and the others returned to the hotel, each going to their own rooms to rest. Even during the drinking session, Yuan Gang repeatedly tried to persuade them, but how much they actually absorbed was something only they knew. After taking a shower, Lin Chia turned off all the lights, lay on the bed, and stared blankly at the letter and wooden chopsticks on the bedside table. That night Lin Chia couldn't sleep at all. The next morning Lin Chia got up from bed, completed his morning routine, and joined the others in the vehicle heading to the Xiaodui base in Shangjing City. Although Yuan Gang had secretly informed them of the method and location for the confrontation the day before, they still needed to visit the 006 team's base. This was partly for courtesy and partly to ensure fairness, as both teams were to travel together to the confrontation site. The Night Watch team in Shangjing City was much stricter in terms of rules and regulations compared to other teams. Traffic in Shangjing City was severely congested that morning, and since the hotel where Lin Chia and the others were staying was quite far from the base, It would take a long time to get there. Fortunately, Qingyu had anticipated this situation and set off half an hour early. In the calm and quiet vehicle, Lin Chia slowly closed his eyes. At the Asylum of the Gods. Good morning, esteemed director. In the courtyard, a caretaker dressed in uniform, wearing a coat and a top hat, was diligently sweeping the ground. Upon seeing Lin Chia, he respectfully bowed. Lin Chia glanced at him and nodded. It seemed that the caretaker was getting along well with the other staff in the asylum, at least from appearances. Lin Chia took a couple of steps forward as if remembering something, then stepped back. Black Eye, can you see anything about my belongings that can predict the future? Black Eye was taken aback and smiled helplessly. Director, have you forgotten? I can only foresee the future of objects. You, in the asylum, are not a physical entity, and these things on you do not belong to the material realm, so I cannot see your future. Unless you let me out, I can help you foresee the future of objects. Lin Chia sighed. Forget it, you can continue with your work. Black Eye's own realm was limitless, but he currently could not summon it into the real world. To utilize his foresight, Lin Chia would have to break through to limitless himself. Dana Dus, are you staying for lunch today? Lin Chia took a few steps when Nix approached him with a smile and asked. Lin Chia forced a smile. Mother, unfortunately, I have a confrontation today. Oh, that's truly unfortunate news. A fleeting hint of disappointment flashed in Nix's eyes but quickly vanished. She smiled at Lin Chia and continued walking into the courtyard. Lin Chia went to the kitchen and grabbed a bottle of rice wine and 2 wine bowls. After hesitating for a moment, he put them back. He walked to the door of room 4 on the 2nd floor, gently knocked twice and pushed the door open. As usual, Lin Chia sat down in front of the ancient ape, who showed no reaction to his arrival. Lin Chia stared at the ancient ape for a long time before slowly speaking. Brother Monkey, today I might not have time to tell you a story. I'll say a few words and then I must go. The ancient ape sat cross-legged, hands together, eyes lowered, completely still. Lin Chia was not surprised by this. After a moment of silence, he said, Brother Monkey, have you ever experienced the feeling of an important person about to die in front of you, but you are powerless to help? As soon as the words left his mouth, the Buddhist light surrounding the ancient ape trembled, as if a stone had dropped into a still pond, creating ripples. Lin Chia froze in place. In that brief moment, he felt a fierce aura rush toward him. Although it was only for an instant, the resentment and overwhelming killing intent contained within made his body tremble uncontrollably. But then that aura completely vanished. Lin Chia stared in shock at the motionless ancient ape, the gentle and sacred Buddhist light enveloping its body, as if everything that had just happened was merely an illusion. Lin Chia shook his head and continued speaking to himself. I have had such an experience. I watched him die in my arms, his breath fading away bit by bit, his body slowly growing cold, rain mixing with his blood and tears flowing into the soil. Until the very last moment he was still smiling and asking me if he was handsome. You say, isn't that strange? The Buddhist light surrounding the ancient ape began to stir violently again. The body beneath the robe started to tremble slightly, and the ancient ape's eyes, hidden beneath lowered eyelids, narrowed as if recalling something. Although I didn't have much contact with him, I could feel that he was usually a very unreliable person, fond of smoking, showing off, and despite being weak, he liked to act like a hero. But when he was reliable, he was truly handsome. The Buddhist light around the ancient ape grew even more brilliant, as if it were desperately suppressing something. The edges of his robe began to flutter gently, and the veins on the backs of his clasped hands bulged out. His brow furrowed tightly. I was too weak back then, I couldn't save him. That guilt, sadness, and anger I can still feel clearly now. I thought 2 years had passed and I had grown, that I could stand on my own and have the strength to protect those I cherish. But why? Does it seem like nothing has changed? I am still so weak, unable to save those I cherish, and this time I can't even see his face. Old Zhao Auntie and now the Sword Saint. Am I destined to watch the people I cherish leave me one after another? Is this truly fate? Boom. A powerful pressure erupted from the ancient ape, sending Lin Chia flying backward. He staggered several steps before barely regaining his balance. The furious wind, carrying shattered Buddhist light, swept through the entire room, causing the whole asylum to tremble slightly. What's going on? Li Yifei rushed out of his room in panic. It's that crazy monkey in room 4. Nix frowned. 2 figures, one black and one blue, quickly soared into the air, rushing toward the second floor, followed closely by a figure carrying a harp. Just as they were about to burst into the room, Lin Chia reached out to stop them. Don't. Lin Chia stared at that figure and shook his head at them. In the midst of the raging wind, the ancient ape's robe fluttered without wind, making a rustling sound, and a dark golden light burst forth from his eyes, like 2 blazing flames burning fiercely in their sockets. He released his clasped hands and then clenched them tightly. Cracks exploded on the robe covering his body. Amidst the swirling Buddhist light, the figure draped in the tattered robe stood up, dark golden fur radiating a faint glow. He stepped forward, walking toward Lin Chia step by step. Those brilliant eyes were fixed intently on Lin Chia. He opened his mouth and hoarsely said, "Damn fate." Chapter 539. Awaiting the triumph of the 5th Special Team. Monkey brother, wait for me. Monkey brother, I went begging again today and got 2 steamed buns. I gave one to the master and secretly ate the other one myself, so I won't give you any. Monkey brother, something big has happened. The master has been captured by a monster. You damn monkey, old pig, used to be a marshal of the heavenly canopy. Can I just keep being bullied by you like this? Let's break up. Split the loot. I want to go back to Gao Lao village. Monkey brother, the pancake you got is really fragrant. Can you slurp, let old pig have a bite too? Monkey brother, how much longer until we reach the west? Monkey brother, you've become a Buddha. That robe looks really nice. I, the purity altar guardian, am not bad either. Monkey brother, don't cry. Old pig, saved a lot of people this time, didn't embarrass our journey to the west team. Cough cough. I'm going down to find old Shaw now. You and the master must take good care of being Buddhas. Self-destructing your divine status and falling to become a monster can indeed avoid the strangling of the fog, staying in the mortal realm to protect the people, but your strength will be greatly weakened and you can never return. In this world, it ultimately still requires the gods to change it. Monkey brother, you and the master are stronger than us. You've finally achieved your goal, so you must live until the end to let old pig see what the future holds for this world. Perhaps this is old pig's fate. The ancient ape's eyes were filled with bloodshot veins, its fur bristled, and endless sadness and anger enveloped its heart. It opened its mouth and roared at the sky with all its might, then slowly lowered its head. It stood there like a child who had lost everything. Lin Chia stared blankly at this scene. Monkey brother. Song. The ancient ape stepped forward and moved in front of him, grabbing Lin Chia by the collar. Nix, Merlin and Bragi, who were behind Lin Chia, were about to intervene, but Lin Chia shook his head again, signaling them not to step forward. The ancient ape held Lin Chia's collar, its bloodshot eyes fixed intently on Lin Chia's eyes. Kid, it spoke in a deep voice, don't believe in any bullshit destiny. If you want to save someone, then go save them. Never give up on anyone you cherish. Lin Chia looked into the ancient ape's eyes, a hint of bitterness appearing in his own. But he is too far away from me. The ancient ape quietly gazed into his eyes. After a moment, it released Lin Chia's collar, returned to the center of the sick room, turned its back to Lin Chia and slowly spoke. If it's far, then fly. As its words fell, an image suddenly appeared before Lin Chia's eyes. Sun Wukong's treatment progress. Reward extraction conditions met, beginning random extraction of Sun Wukong's divine abilities. Immediately after, a virtual spinning wheel appeared before Lin Chia, slowly starting to turn. Finally, the pointer stopped on a certain ability. Lin Chia stood frozen in place. Chia, we've arrived. Bailey Pang Pang patted Lin Chia's shoulder, and only then did the latter open his eyes. The rain pattered against the car window, making a faint sound, while the wipers silently swept across the windshield, clearing the falling rainwater to the side, which flowed down slowly. Lin Chia glanced outside and saw that the vehicle had stopped in front of a courtyard. This courtyard looked somewhat old, with a weathered exterior wall and a few sturdy water fir trees planted around it. The slightly yellow leaves were knocked down by the rain, fluttering in the air. In the 4th ring of the capital, having such a large courtyard must be quite valuable. Lin Chia casually took a black umbrella from beside the car seat, got out and stepped into a puddle, splashing some water. Bang! He pressed a button and the black umbrella opened above Lin Chia's head. Bang 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 bang. 6 people held black umbrellas standing outside the courtyard as the rain pounded against the surface of the umbrellas, like jade beads falling onto a plate, splattering everywhere. Yuan Gang pushed open the courtyard gate and saw Lin Chia and the others standing at the entrance. He nodded slightly. Come in, it's cool outside. We'll tidy up our things and then head to the venue. Instructor Yuan. Lin Chia suddenly called out to Yuan Gang. What's wrong? Yuan Gang turned back, somewhat puzzled. For this match we can change our approach. The flag-snatching battle is too slow. Lin Chia spoke calmly. Yuan Gang frowned slightly. Slow? What are you talking about? Are you in a hurry? Lin Chia didn't answer. He held the black umbrella, standing calmly outside the courtyard, his gaze passing through the spacious courtyard and landing on a certain door. Shush! The rain grew heavier. Raindrops fell on the 6 black umbrellas, gathering into streams of water that flowed along the curves of the umbrella ribs and trickled down to the ground. Chao Yuan. Lin Chia suddenly spoke. Draw your sword. Okay. Chao Yuan didn't hesitate at all. He placed the black umbrella on the ground, reached to his waist and slowly grasped the hilt of his straight sword. Clay. The crisp sound of the sword echoed in the air. Dark, murderous flames intertwined around Chao Yuan, instantly enveloping him, and the suffocating aura of death lingered in the air, as if it wanted to burn away a person's soul. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended. This time Chao Yuan didn't grin foolishly or rush forward. He stood quietly in the rain, draped in that dark aura, his crimson eyes fixed intently ahead. The murderous aura soared. Inside the courtyard. What are they doing? Haven't we not yet reached the confrontation area? A member of Team 006 asked in confusion. They're provoking us with their pressure. Another person squinted, standing at the door, and slowly spoke. It seems they don't intend to follow our rules. What should we do? Of course, push back. Boom. A dark yellow beam of light erupted from the courtyard, the peak pressure of the sea realm radiating outward, colliding with Chao Yuan's murderous aura outside the door, evenly matched. Lin Chia, what do you want to do? Yuan Gang frowned at this scene. Lin Chia's lips curled slightly. He knew the other side understood his intention. Jiang Air. He said calmly. See. The MP3 at Qingyu's waist emitted a rapid electrical sound, and an invisible magnetic field began to converge here. In the next moment, Bai Jiang Air's figure appeared in the air, and the disturbed magnetic field instantly covered the entire area. Boom. The second wave of pressure erupted from the courtyard. 4 powerful forces collided in the void, shattering all the raindrops in the center, and a fierce wind began to rise. Qingyu. Shugu. Lin Chia called out 2 names in succession. And Qingyu and Shin Qingzhu simultaneously dropped the black umbrellas in their hands, and 2 auras erupted simultaneously. And Qingyu's aura was cold and mysterious, while Shin Qingzhu's was majestic and long. Immediately after, 2 more waves of pressure emanated from the courtyard, counterbalancing them. Jialon. Pang Pang. Lin Chia spoke again. Bailey Pang Pang chuckled, extending his left hand to point in the void. A massive Taiji Bagua diagram unfolded from beneath his feet, instantly enveloping the entire courtyard, and an extremely mysterious aura erupted. Inside the courtyard, the 10th wave of pressure soared into the sky. Jialon snorted coldly and her powerful mental energy surged forth, causing her deep blue robe to flutter. Her single aura nearly suppressed all the other auras. The members of Team 006 inside the courtyard changed their expressions. After hesitating for 2 seconds, the 12th wave of pressure erupted. But even so, they still couldn't withstand Lin Chia's side's offensive, so the 13th wave of pressure followed. This time it was a Wuliang. Inside the courtyard, Team 006 was already at full strength. Lin Chia gently lowered the black umbrella in his hand, took a deep breath, and his eyes suddenly shone with brilliant golden light. Seraphic might. Immediately after, phantoms appeared behind him. Goddess of the night Nyx, god of magic Merlin, god of music and poetry Bragi, god of youth Eden, and the formidable Buddha of fighting draped in a tattered robe. 6 divine powers erupted simultaneously. It was like an invisible giant hammer descending from the sky, shattering the pressure of Team 006 inside the courtyard, and a loud explosion echoed in the void. Puff. Inside the room, all 7 members of Team 006 simultaneously spat out a mouthful of blood, their faces turning somewhat pale. In the courtyard, the ground tiles that had been pressed against the earth for countless years shattered simultaneously, and the flying debris shot into the air, raising clouds of dust. Seeing Team 006's aura dissipate, Lin Chia and the others also withdrew their pressures. They bent down and slowly picked up the black umbrellas from the ground. Outside the dilapidated courtyard, they opened the black umbrellas and calmly turned to walk away. Shu S57. The rainwater that had been suspended in the air due to the turbulent pressure suddenly fell like a large curtain, but the figures under the umbrellas didn't get a single drop of water on them. 6 people, 1 coffin, slowly disappeared into the curtain of water. Lin Chia, Yuan Gang, standing at the door, suddenly spoke. What exactly do you want to do? In the rain, Lin Chia slowly stopped. To save people. He turned back, looking at Instructor Yuan's worried face, and smiled slightly. If we don't come back, then so be it. If we do come back, then we are the 5th special team of the Great Xia. At the same time, in the central room of the courtyard, Xiao Pinga, who had been silently observing this silent battle, smiled helplessly. These kids. He shook his head, hesitated for a moment, and then opened the drawer. Inside lay 8 silver iron plates the size of nameplates. He took out 7 of them, held them in his palm, and gently flicked them toward the outside. The 7 iron plates pierced through space and appeared before Lin Chia and the others in the blink of an eye. The sudden appearance of the iron plates in the rain curtain made Lin Chia slightly stunned. They all reached out to catch the plates, looking up at the courtyard in surprise. Things that will allow you to move freely in the fog. Xiaoping's voice drifted from inside the courtyard. Go. The Great Xia Night Watchmen await the triumphant return of the 5th special team. Lin Chia held the iron plate in his hand, a slight smile on his lips. He turned back and exchanged glances with the others. They nodded slightly. Chia, how are we going to go? Bailey Pang Pang asked. Ride a dragon? Lin Chia shook his head. No, we will ride the clouds. As his words fell, he reached out and waved in the void, and countless rolling clouds rose from the ground, lifting the 6 people and 1 coffin slowly upward. Cloud somersault. Lin Chia lowered his head and put on the Sun Wukong mask on his face, while the others also put on their masks. Floating in the air, Jiang Er thought for a moment, then reached up to wipe his face, conjuring a faceless mask out of thin air to cover his appearance. Let's go. Lin Chia spoke calmly. In the next moment, the white cloud pierced through the void and vanished in the blink of an eye. In the rain, Yuan Gang stood at the door watching their departing figures, letting out a helpless sigh. December 26th, heavy rain. The 5th reserve team in the capital city raised their umbrellas, shattered 133 bricks, defeated the station Team 006 in the capital, then rode the clouds and flew west, disappearing into the fog. They have yet to return. Top Secret Files of the Night Watchman. Chapter 540, Guanzai. Buzz buzz buzz. An armed helicopter descended slowly beside the coastline, stirring up a fierce wind. Yi Fan, draped in a dark red cloak and carrying a straight sword at his waist, stepped down from the aircraft. His gaze swept across the distant horizon. Under the sunlight, the waves surged on the sea, creating large patches of white foam. Although there were some swells, overall it was relatively calm. Yi Fan squinted, staring at the other end of the horizon, lost in thought. After a moment, a phantom carriage passed through the city behind him and came to a slow stop beside Yi Fan. The coachman, a young scribe, respectfully bowed to Yi Fan. Commander Yi. Yi Fan turned to look at the carriage where Master Chen was stepping down. He held a teacup in his left hand and brushed off his grayish-white robe with his right, letting out a sigh. What major event is about to happen now? Indeed. Yi Fan smiled helplessly. Just as he was about to say something, the phone rang suddenly. Yi Fan answered the call. Hello, Fuqing. What's going on? What? Yi Fan was taken aback. They charged into the mist to rescue Zhou Ping? How did they manage to navigate through the mist? Xiaoping Gu. Yi Fan frowned slightly. How did he get involved? All right, I understand. Keep a close watch on the movements in the northern mist. As soon as they return, let me know. Yi Fan hung up the phone, his expression somewhat gloomy, and let out a long sigh. What's wrong? Another incident. Master Chen raised an eyebrow. That group led by Lin Chia really has no fear of death, Yi Fan cursed. At such a critical moment, they dared to charge into the mist with a reserve team. Do they even know how dangerous it is in there? I've warned them seriously before. Why don't they listen? Damn it. Yi Fan was genuinely furious, rarely cursing like this. He had tried to reason with Lin Chia for a long time, but the latter didn't take a single word to heart and stubbornly rushed into the mist. Master Chen watched Yi Fan for a while and then chuckled. What are you laughing at? Yi Fan glared at him. Do you know what you resemble right now? What do I resemble? Like an old father of a group of rebellious children, Master Chen laughed. Yi Fan snorted coldly. I'm doing this for their own good. Even more so. Beep beep beep. While the two were talking, the sound of an electric scooter horn came from nearby. A young man in a bright yellow delivery uniform, wearing a helmet, rode up to them unsteadily. Lu Wei, you're too slow, Yi Fan said. Lu Wei took off his helmet and shrugged. The scooter ran out of battery on the way, so I had to charge it for a bit. As if remembering something, he got off the scooter, opened the insulated box at the back and pulled out 2 cups of milk tea. He opened one for himself and handed the other to Yi Fan. You bought milk tea on the way? Yi Fan's mouth twitched slightly. Not really. I was delivering this order when your call came in, so I rushed over here directly without delivering it. Now I'm going to get a complaint, Lu Wei said with a hint of melancholy. Why do you give him one and not me? Master Chen asked in confusion. Lu Wei glanced at him and replied flatly, old people should drink less sweet stuff. Master Chen. That poor customer who ordered must be unlucky, ordering 2 cups of milk tea only to have them intercepted by you too, Master Chen chuckled lightly. Everything is for the sake of Daxiao. Yi Fan glanced at the milk tea's packaging, saw the name of the person who ordered and raised an eyebrow. Sanjiu Inyu? What a strange name. By the way, why hasn't Guanzai arrived yet? Is he still in seclusion? Master Chen looked around and asked. I asked Suqing to call him, he should be here soon. Yi Fan glanced at the time. At that moment, several lines of green characters suddenly appeared out of thin air. #** coding. Youth 8 **. Author by the print. Hello World. As the last character appeared, all the characters vanished into thin air, followed by a swirl of virtual code gathering in the air, transforming into a humanoid figure. A middle-aged man dressed in a black and white checkered shirt and wearing a baseball cap stepped out from the code, slightly raising his head. He pushed up the black-framed glasses under the brim with his right middle finger, the lenses reflecting white light. Hey, long time no see everyone, he grinned. It's been almost 3 years. You finally came out of seclusion, Yi Fan said softly. After the new algorithm upgrade there were too many bugs. I couldn't help it. Guanzai shrugged helplessly, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. Why is everyone here today? By the way, where's my brother Zhou Ping? Why isn't he here? Hearing Zhou Ping's name, Yi Fan opened his mouth wanting to say something but ultimately fell silent. Guanzai sensed something was off and frowned slightly. Yi Fan, where's Zhou Ping? He went abroad. What's he going abroad for? To rescue someone. Yi Fan slowly recounted the previous events to Guanzai. After listening, Guanzai's expression grew serious. He went into the mist alone. What if he gets intercepted by those foreign gods? No way, where is he now? I need to go help him. Virtual characters began to appear around him, seemingly ready to envelop him. You can't go, Yi Fan suddenly spoke. Why? This place needs you more. What about Zhou Ping? Guanzai's brow furrowed, his expression darkening. This situation is definitely not as simple as just kidnapping a city. You can't possibly not see that, right? What if their target is Zhou Ping? His situation is extremely dangerous right now. I believe Zhou Ping can handle his own matters. What we need to do now is fulfill the responsibilities of humanity's pinnacle. Yi Fan said calmly. If you leave with just the three of us, if we can't fend off the Egyptian god's attack, you know what will happen. What if he can't handle it by himself? Guanzai spoke in a low voice. He can. On what basis are you so sure? Because he is the sword saint of Daxia. Yi Fan and Guanzai stood facing each other, both with fiercely aggressive gazes, neither willing to back down. A chilling wind seemed to erupt between them. Meanwhile, Lu Wuwei, witnessing this scene, hesitated for a moment before deciding to step forward to mediate. At that moment, a hand landed on his shoulder. Master Chen stood behind him, silently shaking his head. Chapter 541. Argument. Guanzai's eyes, fixed on Yi Fan, grew increasingly cold. Saint of Swords, Guanzai gritted his teeth and spoke. Just because he is the Saint of Swords of the Great Xia, can you disregard his life or death? Just because he is the Saint of Swords, can you force him to his death? I did not force him. That's nonsense. Guanzai shouted angrily. Yi Fan, do I not know you? You certainly won't directly force him, but you will tell him how many people will die if he doesn't go, what the Great Xia will lose, making him feel he has no choice but to go. You are exploiting his innocence and kindness, making him the sword of the entire Great Xia. Your actions are no different from those who bullied him in the past. Yi Fan's body trembled slightly. He remained silent for a long time before slowly speaking. This is the duty of the pinnacle of humanity. Duty? Ha ha ha, Guanzai sneered. Saint of Swords, the pinnacle of humanity, the duty to protect the Great Xia. Yi Fan, you are always the one standing on the moral high ground. If it weren't for you, Zhou Ping would never have walked this path. Zhou Ping. He is just a child who has been bullied since he was young, who loves martial arts stories and dreams of becoming a hero. Why must you make him bear the duty of the pinnacle of humanity, make him the Saint of Swords, make him protect this world that has once hurt him so deeply? The burden you place on him is too heavy. He should be living well in that humble restaurant, growing up properly, reading the books he likes, peacefully and happily spending his life. He should not have to walk this path. Guanzai's breathing grew heavier, his anger reddening his eyes as he grabbed Yi Fan by the collar. I tell you, Yi Fan, Zhou Ping owes this world nothing, but this world owes him too much. You, Yi Fan, are indeed protecting this country. You are great, you are noble, you deserve the respect of everyone in this country, but you owe Zhou Ping an apology. Yi Fan's lips trembled uncontrollably. He took a deep breath and, in a flash, seized Guanzai's wrist, which was gripping his collar. He spoke hoarsely. I admit I owe Zhou Ping a lot, but do you think I really want to stake everything on a child? If I had his talent, if I had his strength, even if it meant going to my death, I wouldn't even blink. But not everyone is Zhou Ping. With external gods lurking, the Great Xia's deity has fallen into a deep slumber, and the Great Xia has no way out. To turn the tide in a desperate situation, to rely on mortal strength to defeat the gods, I can only gamble on this one chance. If we lose this round, the entire Great Xia will become prey for others to slaughter. And I have never exploited him. Zhou Ping may be innocent, but he is not foolish. Yi Fan's voice paused for a moment before he continued hoarsely. He is a good child. Silence. Guanzai's bloodshot eyes fixed intently on Yi Fan. After an unknown amount of time, he snorted coldly and released Yi Fan's collar. If anything happens to Zhou Ping, I will personally kill you, Guanzai said coldly. Yi Fan adjusted his collar and calmly replied. When the time comes, you won't need to lift a finger. I will repay the life I owe him. Boom. A dull sound echoed from the distant clouds, and the sky darkened at a visible speed. Yi Fan turned to look, only to see the once calm sea violently churning, black waves rising from the surface, like a massive curtain enveloping the sky, rushing toward them. Brilliant divine light pierced through the distant clouds, and 4 figures, carrying terrifying divine might, parted the mist, stepping on nothingness, slowly approaching. The Egyptian 9-pillar gods, 4 gods united. Their divine might was unleashed without reservation, churning the sea beneath them into chaos, a grand calamity for humanity brewing under their power. We can't handle this kind of situation. Qin Fuzi sighed helplessly upon seeing the 4 figures. We may not be able to handle it, but we have to fight. Yi Fan's hand rested on the hilt at his waist, glancing at the city behind him, the dark red cloak billowing violently in the raging sea wind. We can't let them enter the city, we must stop them at sea. Do we have reinforcements? Lu Wei asked. There are only 5 of us at the pinnacle of humanity. Where would reinforcements come from? Guanzai shook his head and looked at Yi Fan. Yi Fan, do you really have confidence in winning this round? Yes. Good. Guanzai turned to look at the 4 figures on the sea, slowly adjusting his cap. Then, let's fight them. Swoosh 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 swoosh. By the coastline, the 4 pinnacles of humanity shot out like arrows, skimming across the turbulent sea, charging straight toward the 4 gods in the sky. The earth shook and the heavens trembled. In the mist, by the stove, Lu Yu glanced at the Saint of Swords, who was sitting nearby with his eyes closed and silent, worry evident in his eyes. Senior Qinhan, why do I feel the Saint of Swords looks worse and worse? Beside him, Qinhan shook his head. I don't know. I touched his hand earlier and sensed his condition. His injuries are much more severe than they appear. 2 different divine powers are rampaging within him, and in just an instant they shattered my spiritual power. So, I am not clear on the specifics. 2 divine powers? Li was taken aback. Isn't there only one wind god? Not just one. Can't your forbidden ruins save him? Qin Han smiled bitterly. You think too highly of me. His injuries are beyond my level of treatment. What do we do now? Is there nothing we can do? Lu Yu spoke anxiously. I'm afraid, if the Saint of Swords closes his eyes again, he won't wake up. What are you saying? Shut up. Qin Han glared at him fiercely. Lu Yu obediently closed his mouth. Qin Han hesitated for a moment, stood up, whispered a few words to the 3 children nearby, and then walked toward Zhou Ping together. Senior Saint of Swords. Qin Han gently called out to him. Zhou Ping, with his eyes closed, did not wake up. Senior Saint of Swords? Qin Han raised his voice slightly. Zhou Ping slowly opened his eyes, heavy bloodshot veins clinging to his gaze, his lips devoid of color, looking extremely haggard. What is it? He asked. Qin Han smiled, took out a cigarette from his pocket and offered it to Zhou Ping. I don't smoke. Zhou Ping shook his head. Senior Saint of Swords, this cigarette is beneficial for your current condition. I don't smoke, Zhou Ping repeated, then pointed to the 3 children beside him. And there are children here. You can't smoke either. Chapter 542. Please, great Xia Sword Saint, slay the god. I don't smoke, I don't smoke. Qin Han repeatedly waved his hands. Lu Yu had just walked down beside Qin Han and Zhou Ping when the 3 children huddled by the stove, gently tugging at his clothing. What's wrong? Lu Yu looked at the child named Wang Jieqi. I'm a bit scared. Wang Jieqi glanced at the dead silence around them, his small face turning pale. In the entire underground parking lot, apart from the 3 children, only 3 adults were still awake. One with a stern face and another covered in blood, eyes closed and unmoving. So the children instinctively began to approach the young and seemingly more approachable Lu Yu. You're a boy, how can you be so timid? Li Rudi said, hands on her hips. Wang Jieqi shrank his neck. But everyone else is asleep and the sky outside is so strange, the road is so eerie. It feels like a monster will jump out at any moment. Don't worry, we're here to kill monsters. Lu Yu smiled. Monsters are really powerful. No matter how powerful they are, we're not afraid. Qin Han glanced at Zhou Ping, who was about to close his eyes again, and said, Do you see this Sword Saint brother? Not to mention monsters, even gods, he can drive them away. Is he really that powerful? The children's mouths dropped open in shock. Zhou Ping, hearing them discuss him again, opened his eyes slightly. The Sword Saint is already very powerful, okay? Qin Nan, who had been silent, spoke up. Sword Saint brother, besides you, are there other Sword Saints in the world? Li Rudi asked curiously. Zhou Ping answered honestly, no, just me. Then aren't you the most powerful person in the world? The little girl's eyes began to shine. Zhou Ping was taken aback. He thought seriously for a moment. There shouldn't be anyone more powerful than me, but there are 4 others who are about the same level. Will they come to save us? No. Why not? Because they have more people to save. Oh. Seeing Li Rudi looking a bit dejected, Qin Nan became unhappy. Why do we need others to save us? Having the most powerful Sword Saint in the world is enough. He will definitely protect us and bring us home safely. Sword Saint brother, how did you become so powerful? I want to be a sword saint too. Wang Jiechi suddenly spoke up. If I become a sword saint, my parents will definitely be very happy. Hearing this, Zhou Ping's eyes trembled slightly. A coward can't become a sword saint. Qin Nan shot him a disdainful glance. Sword saint brother, you're so powerful. Don't your family feel proud of you? Zhou Ping was silent for a moment. Besides my third uncle, I shouldn't have any other family. As soon as he finished speaking, it seemed he thought of something and the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. But I have a few students and they are quite proud of me. Sword Saint Brothers students. Are they also very powerful? Yeah, they're very powerful. They are the 5th reserve team. Zhou Ping paused, looking up at the narrow sky. Perhaps they are already the 5th special team now. Although the children didn't understand what a reserve team and a special team were, it didn't hinder their understanding of the term very powerful. Will they come to save us? Wang Jiechi asked. Zhou Ping opened his mouth, instinctively wanting to say no, but he froze in place. Familiar faces flashed through his mind in an instant. He could be sure that the other human powerhouses wouldn't come because they had their own responsibilities and couldn't cross the mist to get here. But Lin Chia and the others, they won't. After hesitating for a while, he still said, because they shouldn't come. Yes, they shouldn't come. They were just a group of young people with average strength at the sea level. Not to mention coming here, they wouldn't last a few steps in the mist before meeting their demise. They were the seeds of Daxiao, the reserve team of the special squad. They couldn't and had no reason to take such a huge risk to cross the mist and come here. What would they come here for? To save people? Or to save themselves? As this thought suddenly appeared in his mind, Zhou Ping shook his head, denying it. He had only taught them for a while and traveled a short distance with them. Really, it was just self-indulgence. He didn't know why he was always so easily self-indulgent, and the consequence of that was disappointment again and again, followed by numbness. Crack. A fierce thunderbolt streaked across the sky, the explosive thunder deafening, echoing in the pitch-black city, startling everyone in the underground garage. Zhou Ping, who had been drowsy, suddenly raised his head. He looked at the sky outside the garage, the fatigue in his eyes completely gone, replaced by an unprecedented vigilance. His expression was extremely serious. Why is the thunder so loud? Lu Yu, holding the pale-faced Wang Jiechi, frowned and asked. Although Li Rudi and Qin Nan were also quite frightened, they were much braver than Wang Jiechi, especially Li Rudi. Instead of retreating, she took 2 steps forward, arriving at the entrance of the garage. She looked up at the sky. There are 3 people standing in the sky, she exclaimed in surprise. In the dim sky, the clouds within a radius of several dozen kilometers were stirred into a massive whirlpool, and 3 distinctly different figures stood on the cloud, looking down at the city below. Although their faces were not visible, the overwhelming pressure filled the entire sky. The young Li Rudi stared blankly at this scene, the 3 world-destroying figures clearly reflected in her eyes, imprinted in her heart. Qin Han, hearing this, was first taken aback, then his expression changed drastically. He quickly walked to the side of the garage and looked up at the sky. This was the mist. How could there be people in the sky? Recalling the wind god who had just been repelled by the sword saint, Qin Han seemed to realize something and turned to look at Zhou Ping, who was pale beside the stove, his expression extremely grave. Those were gods. Moreover, there were 3 gods. Even if the sword saint could confront one god head-on, facing 3 gods together, even the Daxia sword saint would have no chance of winning. Despair appeared in Qin Han's eyes. This time, it was likely to be a dire situation. Boom. The 3 gods standing in the sky struck simultaneously, their world-destroying attacks falling upon the dim sky, shaking the laws of Fengdu, causing the entire city to tremble violently. A low rumble echoed between heaven and earth. The dim sky shook violently, teetering on the brink of collapse. In the crumbling city, due to the earthquake, one building after another collapsed with a thunderous roar, billowing dust spreading through the air like a tidal wave. Dust fell from above, the stove in the garage was completely knocked over and blinding flames flickered on the ground. Lu Yu managed to catch the 3 children in time, their faces as pale as death. Is that a god? Li Rudi, cradled in Lu Yu's arms, murmured, so scary. In the corner of the underground garage, before the flickering remnants of the fire, a figure slowly stood up. The crimson flames cast his silhouette against the white wall behind him, gently swaying, resembling a black giant, a giant bearing the sky. Zhou Ping, bloodied in a black shirt, calmly walked to the entrance of the underground garage. He reached out and gently touched Li Rudi's head in Lu Yu's arms. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." On that ordinary yet somewhat gloomy face, a rare faint smile appeared. He turned around and walked alone toward the garage exit. The others stared blankly at his retreating figure, gradually disappearing into the swirling dust. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind him. "Night Watchman Qin Han, please Daxia Sword Saint, slay the gods." Qin Han gazed at Zhou Ping's back, his eyes filled with unprecedented determination. Slaying the gods did not merely mean having the Sword Saint kill the gods, but as Zhou Ping had said before, slay the gods and then take you all home. Together home. Lu Yu was taken aback, feeling a surge of warmth rise in his heart, and then he shouted, "Night Watchman Lu Yu, please Daxia Sword Saint slay the gods." In his arms the three children took a deep breath, using all their strength to shout, "Please Daxia Sword Saint slay the gods. Please Daxia Sword Saint slay the gods. Please Daxia Sword Saint slay the gods." In the rolling dust the figure in black paused, turned to look at them, then continued forward. Chapter 543. The Gods Make Way. The dusky sky trembled. The howling wind roared through the city. Amidst the swirling dust, Zhou Ping walked forward step by step along that road, his hands empty. The rising and falling shouts pierced through the wailing wind, reaching his ears. "Slay the gods," he murmured to himself. He extended his right hand and gently placed it on his chest. There, a brilliance like glass flowed across his skin, growing brighter and brighter. Within his heart, a long-buried emotion stirred, as if it were about to break free from its shackles and surge forth. That emotion was called passion. When did he start to lose hope in this world? When did he stop loving this world? When did he begin to reject this world? Zhou Ping did not know, nor did he want to recall. He chose to seal those memories deep within his heart, letting them become a thing of the past. But now the fire in his heart burned ever more fiercely. In the past, although he had intervened multiple times to help the Great Xia resolve disasters, it was more due to the chivalrous spirit he yearned for. He believed that a sword saint should protect the people, so he acted accordingly. That was responsibility not from the heart. But this time was different. This time he truly heard their voices. Those two night watchmen, those three children, the tens of thousands sleeping in the city seemed to be saying, "Please, Great Xia Sword Saint, slay the gods." This voice suppressed all other sounds like the ringing of a temple bell, echoing in Zhou Ping's mind, and within his heart, the nearly exhausted sword intent surged with astonishing speed. Some admired him, some trusted him, some needed him. Isn't this the chivalry he longed for? The heavy shackles pressing on his heart were pried open by Lin Chier and others, and at this moment, they were burned hot by the rekindled flames within him, trembling violently. His momentum soared, his injured spine slowly straightening. Around him the sound of swords rang out. It was as if countless swords circled around him, buzzing in unison with his footsteps, growing ever louder like the cry of a phoenix resounding through the heavens. The brilliance like glass flowed slowly across his skin. His eyes shone clear as mirrors. As Zhou Ping took his final step, a deep rumble echoed within him, as if a hammer struck an ancient bronze bell buzzing loudly. Almost. He was so close to breaking that layer of shackles. Zhou Ping furrowed his brow, glancing down at his glass-like palm, letting out a helpless sigh. The fire in his heart had already burned out, but he was still half a step away from breaking through that ceiling. He had no time left. Zhou Ping raised his head, looking beyond the dusky sky at the three gods relentlessly striking the Fengdu laws, and stepped forward. His figure vanished from the spot. Above the clouds, the god of yellow sand, Set, the god of wind, Xiu, and Amon looked down at the city radiating a ghostly light, their brows slightly furrowed. "This great Xia law is truly troublesome," Amon squinted, a flash of purple light flickering in his eyes. "Even if the three of us join forces, we won't be able to break the great Xia law in a short time," Xiu, still injured, said calmly. "The immediate priority is to take this city back to the Sun City." Set, draped in a yellow cloak, scanned the city, his brows slightly raised. "Xiu, where is that strong human you mentioned? We've been here for so long, why hasn't he shown up? Could it be that you made him up?" Xiao frowned and glanced at him. I have no reason to deceive you. His gaze fell on the city radiating ghostly light, a hint of confusion appearing on his brow. Strange, with such a commotion he shouldn't be unable to sense it. Could it be that the injuries he left on the opponent were too severe and he had already died? Set turned to the black-clad Amon and asked, "Can you use curses through the Fengdu laws?" "I can," Amon nodded. "Fortune is not something that laws can block. As long as we use this dragon vein as a conduit, we can curse the entire Great Xia territory. Then you may begin." Amon slowly raised both hands, holding a black staff in his right hand, while his left hand formed a strange gesture. A sinister black light erupted from him, and an extremely evil aura spread through the air. Ding! At that moment, a figure suddenly appeared before them. The man was clad in blood-stained black, his hands empty, his eyes calm as water, clear as a sword. The instant he appeared, the swirling clouds in the sky suddenly halted, and the sound of countless swords rang out from the void, echoing through the heavens and the earth. His gaze calmly swept over the three gods, and he slowly spoke. "Great Xia Sword Saint Zhou Ping, I ask the gods to make way." It was him. In that moment Xiao felt a sense of relief. His appearance proved that what he had said was not baseless. As long as Set experienced this human sword firsthand, he would understand why he had been forced back. "Wait, where is his sword?" Xiao stared at Zhou Ping's empty hands, suddenly taken aback. Above the clouds, Set frowned slightly upon seeing the suddenly appeared man. "Ask us to make way? A mere human, what audacity!" He sneered coldly. Boom! He lightly waved his hand and endless yellow sand surged from beneath his yellow cloak, instantly obscuring much of the sky. Each grain of dark yellow sand emitted a terrifying aura, capable of easily piercing through half a city. They mixed with the howling wind, producing deafening explosions. The yellow sand filled the sky. Zhou Ping pointed with his right hand, lightly tapping in front of him. Surging sword energy swirled around him, shattering each grain of yellow sand that approached his body, allowing the yellow sand to fill the sky, yet not a single grain could enter within 3 feet of him. Surprise flickered in Set's eyes. After the yellow sand swept past Zhou Ping's body, it rapidly accumulated, transforming into a desert suspended in the clouds, 5 times the area of the city below. Sunlight shone upon this floating desert, casting a wide shadow on the ground, blocking out the sun. At the same time, atop this vast desert, a massive dark yellow sand tower rose from the ground, about 900 meters high, as if it were going to pierce the sky, standing majestically. Set transformed into a handful of yellow sand, disappearing from his spot, and reappeared standing atop the sand tower. Desert Sand Realm. He spread his arms wide, his yellow cloak billowing in the wind, as if embracing this suspended desert. And beneath him Zhou Ping's figure appeared as small as an ant. Bang! Suddenly the sand around Zhou Ping exploded, and a gigantic yellow sand hand, nearly 100 meters in size, rapidly formed and slammed toward his body.